Shalom, shalom all. Ger Talk again. Ger Talk, sorry, with Rabbi David Katz. And as always, you can say hello, Rabbi David Katz.
Hello, Rabbi David Katz.
You're so obedient. It's unbelievable. So we're kind of continuing today on our topic of Talmudic understanding, especially within diet. And, you know, Rabbi, there's one thing I've noticed. Now, being in America, it's mostly a secular country, a lot of sports, a lot of gym. We do a lot of things outside. We're continually with our families playing football, and it's really a sports entertainment nation, as you know, being from here. But when I was over in Israel, and I was there for 10 days, and it seems like that majority, there are sports, there is soccer, there's things like that, but it seems like the majority of people there, especially men, mostly what I call black hats, you know, Hasidics and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of them, you know, maybe it's just the religion or whatever, they don't do a lot of exercise, and you don't, I mean, and I'm not being ugly, but maybe a lot of them overweight a little bit and stuff like that. Is that just the condition of Israel or what? Because I know America's overweight, but I can tell you that's from fast food, sugar, and sweets and junk. But we still go outside and we still do our things out here because it's just part of who we are. Is this different within Judaism over in Israel or what?
Well, the thing is, I've never really been Jewish in America.
Right.
Growing up conservative, you know, I was out of everything by the time I bar mitzvahed, and I was in the wrestling team from even before my bar mitzvah. Right. But I had nothing to do with Judaism at all.
Right.
And I went to summer camp until my freshman year. I mean, we were kids, so you know, I wasn't in a community. I didn't do anything Jewish, and I didn't reconnect until I was 22.
Right.
And by then, I was well over 200 pounds.
Right.
From my own issues.
Right.
You know, I was too young to pay attention to who was who and what was what. You know, I was working in a coffee house, 22 years old, going to college. I mean, I'm not a good example to ask about Jews in America.
Right.
And I've never had any ever since that. I've lived most of my life in Israel. I mean, even when I travel to America, I'm going for non-Jewish communities. So I don't really have much interaction with American Jewry.
Right.
I don't even really consider myself an American Jew.
Right.
I've been here so long. It's crazy. You know, people ask my wife, and, you know, how long have you been in Israel? And she's been here, I think, about a little under 10 years. Right. And then like, well, how long has David been here? And David's been here 20 years.
Right.
And it's like, I always wanted to be able to say that when you yeshiva, like, I've been here 20 years. And right. Now it's there. And I realized I don't understand America. I got out of my system. I grew up here, basically. My second childhood, my adulthood was all here.
Right.
So comparing America to here is not fair for me.
Right.
But to give my personal account, you know, my weight gain, remember, this is going to be a little bit of my story and how I think my dieting and my fitness is all Talmudic, right? Because it really is a diet geared for the frum Jewish male, even of Jerusalem.
Right.
More than other cities even also, because Jerusalem is very religious. So if you're talking about like Modin or a religious or non-religious city, it's different. You know, I'm here now for about, how long am I in Jerusalem for? August, September, October, November, December, about 6 months.
Right, you've been 6 months.
It doesn't even feel like it. So I'm here 6 months, and I'm getting pretty much a taste of what's going on. Again, my issues were wrestled in high school, got injured, and I was trying to figure out last like 10 years what went wrong, because I quit the wrestling team after my injury, and that ultimately led me out of sports, and out of sports led me onto a spiritual journey. The spiritual journey got me into thinking about Judaism. It didn't take long, but I figured I quit wrestling at, let's just say 17, 18, and I'm going to be in yeshiva at 23.
Right.
So 5 years is nothing. I mean, back then I felt like an eternity went by, but now 5 years is nothing. I mean, what? We're in 2020, so 2015 was yesterday.
Correct.
But I felt it was like I had been gone from wrestling forever. But even still, the spiritual journey started at 19. So you're talking about a year and a half. Right. And for me, it was like an eternity in there. But man, that's a drop in the bucket. So it was just disillusioned with sports because I was so all in, and I didn't know anything about diet and fitness, and that's going to be the catalyst that got me out of wrestling. And it's the thing that I was missing was diet fitness. So once I'm out and my eating habits didn't change, and I'm no longer lifting weights, I'm no longer athletic, and I became pretty much sedentary overnight. I mean, I just got lazy. I was burned out. I didn't like high school. I was tired of wrestling and sports. I got an apartment in downtown Dayton. I was going to community college. And senior year, even when I didn't wrestle, I ballooned up to even muscle balloon, up to about 190, right? But that was muscle. But it's still my body fat would have been high if I would have checked it back then. So you figure, laying around an apartment, just being a lazy kid, I'm up to about 210, right? And my wrestling weight was, before I got hurt, I was wrestling 152. And even then, I wasn't disciplined in diet. So the year before that, I was wrestling 119. And my off season was 135. So it was a steady growth, right? It was about 120 my freshman year, 135 my sophomore year, 152 or 160 junior year, and then 190 senior year. I bulked up pretty big. I was working at Papa John's, and so I was eating about a large pizza a shift. But you can see the progression. It was eating, lifting, and ultimately, once I stopped the lifting and working out, it's just the eating. So it didn't take long to be well over 200 pounds. I'm going to come to Israel in 2001. About a good 210, 215. I'm going to check into yeshiva, and at yeshiva, it's a very bad diet. Now, if you would have asked me back then, the guys warned me about the yeshiva food. They're like, we don't have that good of food here. I loved it. It was pita, hummus, tuna casserole, carbs. And I never went hungry, and I thought I was doing pretty well for myself.
Right.
But that first year, I was probably up to 225. And then I think I hovered right around 235, 240 through my yeshiva years, which was about until 2008. Then I'm going to get married, and I think I hovered right around 235, 240 through my marriage. Wife passes away in 2012, and I think that's when it got bad because I'm raising my kids by myself, working American hours. There's a pizza shop and a sandwich shop downstairs from my building. So, I could order, they were open until like 3 a.m. So at any hour I could get, whatever I wanted. And it was relatively cheap. That's the problem with food, right? It's all cheap, junk food. So by the time we hit 2018, I'm pushing 270, which isn't that big of a deal in terms of looking at the progression, right? We're already at 240 from 210, from 190, from 160, from 140, from 120. It was a steady progression.
Right.
Then from 240, basically 10 pounds a year.
Right.
It's an easy, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it's easy to see that. 250 becomes 260, 260 becomes 270. Done.
Right.
Now we're looking at June of 18. I'm going to go on my weight loss, and that's where the story begins. So the story is, number one, the problem with me, and this was my wrestling meditation that I always did was, what went wrong. I grew up in a Jewish home, and my mom, she doesn't know about health and fitness and diet. And
Right.
We had the gefilte fish and, matzah milk pancakes, fried matzah, just unhealthy food. If you want to gain weight, man, just go eat some fried matzah. It's fried in like, I don't know. I think she puts like 6 eggs in there. It's and tons of salt. And I don't know if we use oil or not, but a lot of people do use oil. And then, if you want to really make it really good schmack, you put some cheese in there. It's unbelievable. And I remember one Passover, I did that when I was married. I think I gained like 10 pounds just on that Passover. So Judaism is about, the cultural Judaism has no consciousness of health, fitness, diet.
Right.
There's nobody would bat an eye if I told them I eat fried matzah with cheese in it. on Passover time. You know, and then you get the gefilte fish and the chicken schmaltz. All these foods, Judaism has become one treat after another.
Right.
You know, and especially in Israel with the pita and the hummus. It's just a culture of all these horrible foods, and they taste awesome, obviously, but nobody bats an eye.
Right.
And so when I started to get a little bit of health problems, nothing serious, mainly like my back, my neck, and a chiropractor, Dr. Yaakov Starr. You know, I had a nice blender because when I was a kid, I used to like making chocolate shakes in the blender. So I went out and bought a blender.
Yes.
Just for the chocolate shake. And that's why I had the blender. That's all I ever used it for, was a chocolate shake.
Right.
And he's looking around my house, and he's like, you know, you got a decent blender. I'm thinking like, yeah, the chocolate shake. But he says, you got a good blender. Why don't you start substituting a meal with a shake? And I'm thinking like, great, we'll put in ice cream and milk. And, you know, I literally had no idea.
Right.
And he's like, no, you got to substitute the milk with like either almond milk or water, and you don't need ice cream. Like, man, it's not going to be sweet enough. He says, trust me, it'll be sweet enough.
Right.
So I say, should I put in like 20 dates? I have no idea whatsoever.
Right.
He's like, no, dates are very rich in calories. You don't want to put that many dates in. Again, I'm looking for every excuse in the world to jack up the calories without even knowing what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just looking for excuses, whether it's milk, ice cream, dates, honey. You can see where I'm going with this, right?
Right.
How do we get this thing super, super dense and sweet that I'll enjoy it? So somehow he talks me out of it. And I like Rebar in the mall here. You know, I don't know if they have Rebar in America, but it's like a smoothie stand. And I used to think they were healthy smoothies. Once I lost the weight and I checked the menu, they're not.
Right.
But he got me on a meal replacement, and I was putting in, it was summertime, so I was putting in watermelon, cantaloupe, almond milk. Back then, I think it was a little different than I'm doing now. So I'll tell you how I would do it today. I would put in almond milk, watermelon, cantaloupe, and some frozen bananas, frozen strawberries, frozen pineapple, any assortment, or frozen berries,
right.
Frozen cherries, any of those things. They're all kind of superfoods. They're high volume, low calorie. So I would drink that whole jug of that shake, and the whole thing will cost you about anywhere from 500 to 700 calories.
Right.
And I'd also put in a scoop of whey protein. Not so much those. I like supplements or believe in supplements. I like the texture of the whey. It gives it a really creamy texture, and you're getting protein out of it.
Right.
But I'm not concerned with the protein. I like the texture a lot.
Right.
Again, if I'm not going to put in all the cheating stuff, I guess I still cheat a little bit. But it's like two birds with one stone. If I can get protein out of it, it justifies the means.
Exactly.
Maybe one day I'll give it up, but for now, I do put in whey protein. So that's your meal replacement, and I saw that it was pretty good. And from that day on, he convinced me that there's something here, right? I now saw that I could survive on one meal a day. I'm gonna wake up and just have coffee loaded with sugar. That was then, and then not eat till about noon. Down a big, what is it, gallon or more, whatever it is. I don't know how much is in the blender. Do the shake, and then for dinner, I have like all these calories freed up. I can have a massive dinner. This is where I was at before, not where I'm at now. So once I saw that it was possible, I'm laying on the floor. I got this big beanbag like thing, and it's really hot in Modin, Israel. Air conditioner on. Just got back from America. Bought a gym membership. I'm probably not going to use it. I'm lying to myself saying I'm going to somehow use it. I don't have a plan. I just wanted the sauna, the steam room, and the jacuzzi. Because my body, I was tired of lugging around my bones. I remember I was throwing myself into bed at night and like, the stupid body, and we're cursed to have these bodies. And Judaism, I think, Judaism teaches how high the body is, but yet people, they abuse their bodies.
Right.
And they don't, they say like, the body is the vessel for the soul. And that's where that teaching ends. They don't get into what really is the body about. So I'm laying on the floor, and I don't even know how I got into this Google search. I like lost my mind. And not crazy lost my mind, just letting my mind go and wander. I don't remember. Because, that's the whole point. I lost my mind. I was just laying down, thinking, meditating, just letting it do its thing.
Right.
And somehow, I wish I knew how. I came across a concept. 3,500 calories is 1 pound lost. And I'm not a big believer of science teaches, but it's one of those things you just can't argue with.
Right.
It's like they have certain things worked out. Like if I told you water boils at 212, is that what it is?
Right.
Like no one argues that. It just is. Like 0 degrees Celsius is freezing. So if I were to tell you, ice cubes lose weight and they because they freeze at 0 degrees Celsius, and it would be true.
Right.
Because 0 degrees is freezing. So it was one of those kind of formulas that you just don't argue with.
Right.
And the teaching is 3,500 divided by 7 days a week, gives you a 500 calorie deficit a day. You lose a pound a week. So now I'm seeing, man, this is like wisdom. It's real wisdom. You can have the milkshake, replaces the meals. I don't have to eat all the time. There's a system of losing calories. The calories are real. And from there, my chiropractor tells me you can track your calories on the Lose It app. It's called Lose It.
Right.
So I went out and I bought a food scale. You got to weigh your food. And this is where I say that the diet is Talmudic, because I think most people are not used to cracking a Rashi and a Tosfos.
No.
Right? And in the Goyische Welt, people just don't, I went, this last trip to America, I went to Walmart. And I spent about 2 hours in the frozen food section and the dry food section. And obviously I have my calculator out, right? Like no brainer. I'm just doing all the calculations. Do you think I saw other people with their calculators out? No.
I guarantee you didn't.
No. And I went to another Walmart and I did it again at a more normal hour. And again, I'm the only Fruit Loop with the calculator out. But when you're learning Gemara and you don't know what a word means, it's just a given you're going to go look it up, right? I remember when I first started learning Torah, I asked my chavrusa, my next door neighbor, I said, how do you know these words? It was so intimidating learning in Hebrew and Aramaic. That's like the biggest intimidation factor in the world.
Right.
It keeps people from learning Torah. And I said, how do you know all this? For me, he was like Moses.
Right.
That guy was like the guy. And this was back when I was in Cleveland, 22 years old. And he said, I use a dictionary. I'm like, say what? Like, you use a what? I didn't even compute. Like, I can still feel it in my brain. But I was thinking that day, like, there's no comment.
What are you going to
like
say?
A dictionary. Yeah. It's like, does it work? Does it not work? How do you do that? And now, my go-to is the dictionary for everything.
Right.
It's a powerful tool. You read in the Gemara until you get stuck, and then you look it up.
Right.
Whether it's in a dictionary or a Google search. So to bust out a calculator to find out the calculation is very, in my mind, Talmudic.
Right.
It doesn't take much. And to read a nutrition label, to grab a package off the shelf and look at it, I teach in my classes, rule number 1 is love the book.
Right.
And I've every time you read the cover of a book, the inside cover of a book, inside pamphlet, you cover that book in the random superfluous information, you will find out the construct and the wisdom of that
Right.
book every time. There's always a chiddush when loving the book. So loving the package of food, I've come to love materialism, not because I love materialism, but because the packaging. You know, the Citra Achra in this thing, the evil is the marketing. And you can see how they want to trick you. But I'm not trying to emphasize the trickery. It's just like I went a little shopping spree last week of buying deodorant. And I wanted to figure out deodorant. Because I couldn't figure out in America why there's a billion kinds of deodorant. And I was obviously missing something here. So I decided on the bus to the gym, I'm going to finally crack this sugya of deodorant. And I realized they're all Iker terms.
Right.
And it's like, if you want your sleeves dry, do you want them not to leave streaks, not to leave stains? Antiperspirant, regular deodorant, non-antiperspirant, 48 hours, 72 hours, 24 hours. And everyone's got their thing. And the packaging will tell you like a roadmap. Here we got the antiperspirant, deodorant, also doubles as a body spray. You know, and you can follow the algorithmic thinking. And that everybody at the end of the day gets the deodorant that they want when they understand this. And there's only so many types of deodorant. Then you go to Gillette, and you go to Speed Stick, and you go to Axe, and you go to Old Spice, and you go to Dove.
Right.
And all of them, they focus on one of these aspects. Like Speed Stick wants you to feel like, it's called magain in Hebrew, like guarded. You put on the Safe Stick, you're guarded. Whereas Gillette wants to do something else. And they all have like their angle. So that's Love the Book. So food is no different. You read on the packaging and the frozen chicken breasts, great source of protein. That's an Iker term, right? They're using the health code to let you know, because you're an idiot and you don't know that proteins, carbs, and fats are the basic building blocks of macronutrients.
Right.
But the general consumer doesn't know that. So I'm prone to buy the chicken breasts because hey, I don't know. They said it's good on protein. What do I know?
Right.
But when you know the material, you can it's like you're fluent. You can follow the thinking. Like, of course it says it's high in protein. It's selling you chicken breasts.
Right.
That's what you should be marketing it as.
Right.
You wouldn't want to say great source of saturated fat. No. You wouldn't want to say that. And you can follow the thinking that these guys know what they're doing. And this is where I'm saying it's like learning a Gemara. And so if you've already gone through yeshiva and you already know how to learn, and you're already in a system of non-healthy eating, then breaking out of that system actually comes second nature. Because once you realize the food sugya is a sugya with Iker terms, and they're going to tell you all the little hints and cheats and codes, you can follow it. Then you have the power to break out of it. And then you read the label, and it's always a scam. Like a serving of Lucky Charms, not that I would eat that, but I was looking in Walmart just to see. And it's, tons of marshmallows and sugary and things like that, right? 30 grams is one serving. That's nothing. I mean, come on. Who are you kidding? You're going to eat the whole box.
Right.
Or at least 3/4 of that box.
Right.
And so, the whole box probably has about 480 grams, I'm guessing, but somewhere around there. And you're saying 30 grams is a serving? I mean, am I an elf or a munchkin or something? Like what are you talking about? So it's being already in that processing mind.
Right.
And not being afraid to use tools like a dictionary, Google search, or a calculator. You are already empowered as a Talmudist to bust the system. We're just not applying ourselves.
Right.
And this is the famous story of the yeshiva guy that studies for the bar like a Gemara, and he passes the test because he knows how to study like a Gemara.
Right.
And he becomes a lawyer. And people have no problem making a parnasa from their Talmudic skills, but they don't realize food and nutrition labels are just asking to be crunched like a piece of Gemara.
Right. So
with that, I in Israel it was a little bit harder because I had to learn how to navigate labels in Hebrew. But again, it's like my challenge to myself that I always give. If you're a rabbi and you really know Hebrew, then what's your problem? You can figure it out. And I did. So chelbon is protein, nitron is sodium, caloriot, calories, right? You can follow it very, very simple. And even if you can't pronounce it right, you can recognize it on the label. Just like in the Gemara, not every word do I know, but I can recognize the words sometimes.
Right.
So you don't have to look up every single time. So once I saw 3,500 divided by 7, 500 calorie deficit a day, go buy your scale, weigh your food. It becomes like almost like a religious practice. And you just add a regimen, weighing your food, punching it in. You don't have to do it once you're down to weight. But
Right.
you do, I believe, need to go through a 6-month boot camp to get yourself down and trained and disciplined. And as I'm going through my journey, even on Friday, this past Friday, I had a major breakthrough. And there's always major breakthroughs. I quit eating sugar, added sugar, like to my coffee this Friday. And today was a rough day. I really felt a lack. I wanted the sugar. I'm going to fight it. But you constantly break out of these things that you tell yourself, I'll never do that.
Right.
So like for me, I fought to have the challah every Shabbos. And I was weighing it, my 200 grams or, fighting for the 250 and rationalizing that the 300 or 400 calories was worth it.
Right.
And, it's like you start making judgment calls. Do I want the dessert? Do I want tea with sugar? Do I want challah? Do I want to eat gefilte fish? Which Jewish nourishkeit do I want to keep on my plate, pun intended? And you start to realize, man, is it worth it?
Right.
Is cultural Judaism worth it?
Right.
Because in the secular world in America that you come from, Mike, as I'm reading on Instagram,
Right.
they want to go out and have beers with their buddies on Friday and Saturday.
Right.
And it's a big social no-no to be a square.
Right.
And you got to go out till 3 a.m, go to the bar, and your friends are drinking. And so what are you going to drink? What are you going to do? And I understand the social pressure in America. And with Judaism, it's a different pressure. It's more... And the thing is, it's not even a social pressure. When I go out for Friday night meals now, I don't wash because I don't eat bread.
Right.
I quit eating bread, and people are like, they don't care.
Right.
No one could care less. David Katz doesn't wash or eat bread. But for me, it was a big deal.
Right.
To get over myself, do I really need to hold on to this?
Right.
So I let go of cholent, I let go of kugel, I let go of bread, I let go of drinking wine.
Right.
I love Kiddush wine, but I'm thinking like, I'm passed out on the couch after the meal. I overate. I'm buzzed, feeling amazing. I love being stuffed. That's why I got heavy. But, we have a baby coming in May.
Right.
I can already hear it happening. I'm passed out on the couch, totally stuffed. I overate, and I fast on Friday, so I justify I can overeat on the meal because I don't eat lunch or breakfast.
Right.
On Friday. And I can already hear it coming. Baby's crying. David, can you please get up and change Junior's diaper?
Oh, you're full.
I don't want that moment.
No.
I don't want the fight in me. Like, oh, come on. I'm chilling on the couch. It's Friday. It's Shabbos. It's not worth it. Right? And so everyone's like, don't ruin my life. Don't ruin my social life. We have a right to enjoy life. You do. And nobody would criticize me for having my wine and my challah, all these things. Nobody would.
Nope.
It doesn't change the fact that your body doesn't care. It absorbed the 400 calories, you're paying for it. You can convince yourself all you want that I deserve it, maybe I'm not meant to be skinny, all these different things. Your body is struggling over that, whether you like it or not. Your wife wants you to change the diaper, whether you like it or not.
Right.
You can fight it, you can justify, don't tell me not to drink Kiddush wine. And this is a big fight that Jewish men will have in themselves. And I'm telling you, it's just not worth it. Now, if you're not overweight, or if you I don't know, maybe you just handle wine better. I like to lay down and just pass out. I don't drink that much. It's just because I actually don't drink at all during the week. And so I'm because I'm going into Shabbos fasted.
Right.
And I never drink, the wine hits me harder than most people.
Yes, it
Like,
will.
a lot of Jews drink l'chaims all week long.
Right.
So I guess they can probably handle it better. And so for them, maybe that's not an issue. And the whole dieting thing is you deal with the issue.
Right.
I never was a big brownie cake guy. So I never had to give it up. I never started. Not an issue.
Right.
I want to eat the whole loaf of bread. That's my issue.
Right.
I'm not an alcoholic, so I'm not going to finish your bottle of wine. But my problem is I want to go immediately lay down, go in the bedroom and change into my pajamas and come out and pass out on the couch and sign off.
Right.
And it's not good for anybody. So the diet and health world, especially in Judaism, you got to do what allows you to serve God.
Right.
Maybe in the secular world and non-Judaism, you're a freakazoid if you don't go to the bar with your buddies, and therefore the diet culture is a problem because it makes you a freak. You cannot go out with your friends.
Right.
If I'm non-Jew, secular in America, I will not have a social life.
Right.
I'm not going out Friday night. Well, guess what? Jews don't go out Friday night either, so we don't have that problem.
Right.
Our places that we go to are a Friday night meal.
Right.
And so now, because it's not a typical social scene, no one judges you on your Kiddush wine or your challah eating. Now it's just your fight. And,
Right.
What are you holding on to? And it's about being productive. And that's the blessing of being a Jew, is that my diet and health is about me. No, there's not a contest of social peer pressure. If anything, it's the opposite. You will be in better position to shine at the Friday night meal, not being intoxicated, not overeating, being in control of your diet. Just being in control on a Friday night meal, it's in your benefit to do that. But again, in the secular world, do you want to be the sober guy, the designated driver guy, going to bed at 8 p.m. guy? Nobody wants to be that guy.
No.
But in Torah Judaism, that guy doesn't exist.
Right.
It just doesn't exist. So I'm saying, since it doesn't, use the blessing to perfect your vessel to serve the service of God.
Right.
And if you're not overweight, enjoy your challah. Mazel tov to you. Enjoy your wine. Enjoy your challah. Enjoy your cholent. And thank God you understand not to overeat during the week. Well, we don't.
Right.
And so for me, it's like my body just is itching to get big and strong. And it's just, you can say, well, then let your body do it at once. Well, no. And the intuitive eating people want to say that. My body has no limit.
Right.
Like we had a really nice Shabbos this Shabbos. They had all kind of food. I had 2 plates. Now, granted, they were not big plates, but I wasn't even began to be dented. I mean, it wasn't even a beginning of a dent.
Right.
I could have polished off the entire tin of chicken, no problem.
Right.
And probably a whole plate of rice. She made it so good with the right amount of sodium and salt and sauce. Right. Like, it just went right down. And I had no limit. None. If I didn't know any better, I could have polished off a massive amount of food. And so in the religious world of Judaism, if you don't know any better,
right,
especially if you're cooking, let's say for your family, there's not a weird social pressure to not be a chazer and eat it all, then you very well may. It's like when you order a large pizza, you'll just put it down. Why not? No one's watching.
Right.
Put it down. And so that's the problem. And that's my point, is that I think my militant style or ninja style of get the job done, which is be in a caloric deficit of around 1,500 calories a day, not counting what you burn off at the gym, and go to the gym and watch YouTube videos and educate yourself. These kind of tools, I don't know if it flies in the non-Jewish world as well as it does in the Jewish world. Now, I think it does, but the key is as well. And that's why the Jew, in my mind, is in perfect position to succeed, because he does want to learn, and he is in a culture of bad food, and he can get out.
Right.
It's not the same as having to go to the bar with your friends and drinking beer. And the Talmudic processing and thinking is what the diet's about. You know, figuring out calories, it's a numbers game, and doing the research and looking it up and calculating and writing it down and entering your stats and keeping the numbers legit all across the board. It's purely Talmudic. And therefore, I think the Jew is meant to thrive on this type of diet.
Very good. So if someone out there is interested, especially being in Jerusalem with you or in Israel, somewhere like that, yeshiva all day, you know, whatever they're doing all day long, and they don't know where to start, is that someone that you could help? Is that someone that you could, you know, actually work with?
That's it. I mean, I think also moms that have, you know, kids, because kids eat junk food. It's just we give our kid junk. And I think moms need to learn how to read labels.
Right.
And kids need to be taught with their parents how to learn to read labels.
Right.
So the message is, I think, for the whole Jewish family, particularly in Jerusalem, but also I'm working online, and anybody online, and you don't have to be Jewish to hear the message either. It's just, I think it's asking the non-Jew a lot to go on this kind of diet, because it takes all things into consideration. I think curbing your social life is difficult, but accentuating your Judaism and your Jewish life, I think you have to. I think it's dangerous not to. And I just want to say the rest of my diet journey. So once I started realizing the calorie deficit, and the Lose It app got my calories down to, let's say I was around 4,000, just totally out of control. The first job was get it from 4,000 down to 2,000. And that's just, you know, substitute water from Coke. I mean, whatever substitute you want to bring in. There's a million substitutes. Well, the obvious one is water, right?
Right.
Don't drink your calories. No pizza. I mean, just the big stuff, the big obvious ones. You should have no problem going from 4,000 to at least 2,500 by cutting out really ridiculous things.
Right.
Going to 2,000, you got to make some sacrifice. And that's where intermittent fasting comes in. I think the difference between 2,500 and 2,000 is I can eat whenever I want, versus eating in a small window.
Right.
Just keep your times focused. Then from 2,000 to get in a calorie deficit, that's the ninja. You got to go minus 500 more, and then
looks like we okay. You are frozen, sir. I don't know what's going on, but you seem to be frozen.
You go back to about 2,000 to maintain your weight.
Right.
And that's how it works.
Right.
Every so often you figure out where to cut back.
Right.
Like I said, I just figured out it's time to drop sugar. And as you lower your weight and the calories get smaller and smaller, it forces you to make wise decisions. You know, when it's 1,900, it's not so hard. But when it gets down to the end of the diet to about 12 or 1,300, now you're really figuring out what's worth it for you.
Right.
And again, I think that Talmudic processing is what makes this thing tick. And when you look at people in the diet world that really get it, this is the diet everyone follows that gets it. It's called Calorie Deficit. And they're all doing Talmudic thinking and processing. They just don't know that it's called Talmudics. And, you know, I use Talmudic concepts. Like, you know, I'm a brisker, so I use Sfei Dinim. There's two laws, right? There's good calories and bad calories. The non-Jewish world doesn't know Sfei Dinim. So try convincing a non-Jew that not all calories are the same. in my mind, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. No, there are good calories and bad calories. There are good fats and bad fats. There are good sugars and bad sugars. And so that's just one example of many of the great tools and gift of the oral Torah that will just help you live in this world with a healthier lifestyle, not just in dieting, but in all things. And then, the Gemara is like a Rashi Tosfos on the nutrition label. Nutrition labels are not English. They're not normal literature. It's a jargon code thing, and there's a Rashi Tosfos there in its own style. I mean, once you have the concept of a Gemara, Rashi Tosfos, and Gematria, and all these different things, the nutrition label is nothing more than that. It should be second nature to you. And so that's why I think the Jerusalem or Israel from male, 25 to 60, he can thrive and excel if he learns this wisdom. And the mom and the kids, the family, when you realize you're giving your kids junk food because that's what society wants to give kids, you can break that system too, and show your kids that doing math problems, there is a place for it in the real world. It's like if you say 100 grams of corn schnitzels is 200 calories, and there's 1 kilo of schnitzels in the bag, how many calories are in the bag? Very simple algebra, and yet extremely practical. And that's what I think who this message is geared for the most. And in the non-Jewish world, it's for them too. It's just I think these concepts are more welcomed in the non-Jewish world, but they're more foreign. And in our world, they're less foreign but less welcomed. And we have to introduce the tools of the Torah into our lifestyles in order to find success. And that's what I've certainly lived that, and I continue to live it, and I have found profound results. I went ultimately from 270 pounds to my lowest was about 150. And that was in a matter of 6 months.